Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am back. We are back, fresh off of summer vacation, back for episode number 155 of the Hoop Doctors podcast. Of course, I go by the name of Kevin Burke, and it is good to see all you people once again. The NBA has done a fantastic job in scheduling key, marquee matchups for the early part of the season. I mean, they do it every year, but a lot happened during the summer in terms of free agent moves, injuries, and what have you that makes it more intriguing as we head into this 2014-2015 season. And the league didn't disappoint in terms of, again, scheduling key matchups that we want to see early on to get us charged up, to get us energized about the early part of the NBA season. There are two games in particular I want to talk about, but let me take them in chronological order. The Lakers and the Rockets on Tuesday night, was it? Now, we expected a blowout, in the hands of in favor of the Rockets. We expected that. The Lakers aren't going anywhere this year. I don't know the next time the Lakers will make the playoffs in the West. I don't know if you're a Laker fan. Like, seriously, ask yourself that question. When is that going to happen in the near term? I can't see it. Now, Julius Randle. Two things I want to take away from that game. Julius Randle's broken leg. Now, you hate to see a rookie go down for the whole year in his first game. I mean, the first game you break your leg, you're out for the year. That's terrible. I mean, it didn't even look that bad, to be honest with you. It didn't even look that bad, but it's easy for me to say because, I was asleep when it happened. I mean, that happened at like 1 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. I was counting sheep, so I didn't even see it. But, the replay the next morning, it didn't really look that bad, so it's one of those freak phantom things, the way he planted and the weight that was shifted on the leg and all that. So you hate to see a rookie go down like that. But, the reaction from Laker fans the next day on Twitter and, social media and just talking to people in general, you would have thought that the Lakers really had a shot of winning the championship with the help of Julius Randle. The way the reaction was like, oh, our hopes and our dreams are dashed. No, again, you hate to see a guy go down as a rookie, but you weren't going anywhere anyway. So that's the silver lining and all of that. But speedy recovery, Rook. I hope that this doesn't hamper you for the remainder of your career. The second takeaway from that game, of course, is a little dust-up, that little skirmish that ensued between Kobe and Dwight. Listen, I don't buy Kobe's tough guy act. I never have. In fact, it wasn't even until recently that this tough guy act by Kobe became accepted. I don't know when that happened, but I don't buy it. If you're old enough to remember Kobe from like the early part of his career, the late the late 90s and early 2000s and all that, Kobe wasn't really respected around the league from his peers. The Chris Childs two-piece is a prime example of that. Guys didn't really like him. I think Kobe was the most hated guy in the league until LeBron decided to take his talents to South Beach 4 years ago. So he was never feared by anybody, but all of a sudden he's this mean, tough guy. So when he gets into Dwight's face and he's telling Dwight, try me, why don't you try me, and calling him soft because you can read his lips and all that. I don't buy all that. That's only going to work with against a guy like Dwight, because Dwight's persona is that he's also not a tough guy because he smiles too much. So because Dwight smiles too much, he's perceived as a guy you can kind of push around. I guarantee you, Dwight is not what he's perceived to be, what he's made out to be. So Kobe talking tough to Dwight is only going to work against a guy like Dwight because of his whole smiley, cheerful attitude, and Shaq always pointing that out. So I don't buy Kobe's tough guy act. I really wish we would stop with this. But I will say, in terms of talking X's and O's, Kobe has looked very, very good from a basketball standpoint in the early part of the season. So that's great to see for a guy, especially in his 19th year. LeBron's return to Cleveland. The king is back. First of all, it really, I thought that grown men calling Glenn Davis Big Baby was bad enough. That really bothers me when I hear a grown man call him, refer to him as Big Baby. But hearing people refer to LeBron James as the king, like, stop. Seriously. It's just his Twitter handle. We don't really have to call him what his Twitter handle is. He's not the king. He's just LeBron James. I mean, there was a lot made about his return. Listen, it's a big deal. It's the biggest story in sports, bar none. That's what the NBA can really hang their hats on. Individual storylines amongst their individual stars. No other league can boast that sort of luxury. So it's a big deal, him coming back. I get it. But there was a lot made out of it, particularly that Nike ad that ran. And I really can't fault LeBron for that because, one, it's Nike. You're getting paid for it. And two, the whole Cavs roster was in the commercial as well. The one where they rallied in and they were, the hoorah with the city of Cleveland. It was a good gesture, but a lot was made out of it. And listen, I would be a liar if I told you I didn't get, a little bit of chills when, they went through the introductions and they called LeBron's name and did the powder toss. I got a little chilly. I'm not going to lie. I got a little chilly, but a lot was made out of it. I mean, the TNT telecast, the Kevin Hart thing and all that, it was a big deal. I get it, but it was a lot. And he came out timid. He came out scared. He wasn't aggressive. He was deferring a lot, which, I mean, that's what LeBron is, right? 12 years in, we know that he defers. But in a game like this, you thought he would have just gone, he was just gone for it. I mean, he finished with, 17 points. I thought this would have been like a great 35-point, potential night for him to go out and get something like that. But, I mean, it is what it is. He was timid. It reminded me a lot of when the big three got together in the early days of Miami. That first year in Miami, if you remember, they came out of the gate very slow. Very, very slow. I mean, you never. It didn't even seem like. I mean, you knew they were going to make the playoffs, but it didn't seem like they were going to reach the finals that year. That's what that first game in Cleveland reminded me of. The early days with Miami 4 years ago. But I mean, they're going to get it together. They have too much talent on that team. I forget they even have guys like Marion and Mike Miller and guys like that coming off the bench. Guys who have been starters their entire career. So not to mention the Kevin Love who had 19 and 14 in his first game, and Kyrie, of course, who I think. Listen. You can never, your profile can never suffer from playing with a guy like LeBron. But Kyrie was on the brink of superstardom, and I think that takes a little bit of a step back playing with LeBron. Now, Kyrie's never going to mention that. I don't know Kyrie. I don't know what's in his head and in his heart. Of course, you want to play with a guy like LeBron, but again, if you're talking about building your individual brand, I think it takes a little bit of a hit, especially if you're on the brink of superstardom like Kyrie was. Now, the Bulls and the Cavs are up later on this week. So, again, NBA, great job, early season scheduling. So, we'll keep an eye on what happens as the season rolls on. That's all I got. Podcast number 155. Woo, that's a lot of podcasts. There's more to come. I'm Kevin Burke, and I'll check you guys out next week. Be good.